Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with yet another Kaisa supplementary guide. Now I know I've been doing a lot of Kaisa content recently, but generally it kind of makes sense to like play more of whichever champion is like hot at the moment or like good at the moment. Like there was a time where I made like a lot of Tristana videos and like a lot of Ashe videos as well. If you guys remember a couple of months ago, and like Tristana was really strong, then now she got nerfed. And now after they buffed Kaisa, Kaisa has been really good. So the first build we had was of course like the normal crit build, Stormrazor into IE, into RUNAAN'S Hurricane. Then we got the hybrid build, which was of course the Stormrazor into Nashor's Tooth, into an Amtome, etc. Now we got another build, which is basically a variation of the previous normal first build that we had, which is the crit build. But this time, instead of going for the IE first, now we go for the RUNAAN'S Hurricane first. Now I'm going to quickly explain a very small detail, which is the first thing you get is double BF Sword. This gives you your Q Evolve. Now we got that out of the way. We go for the Stormrazor. So Stormrazor is your first complete item. Then you generally go for the RUNAAN'S Hurricane. Now when I say generally, I mean with this new build. So what RUNAAN'S Hurricane gives you is it gives you your E upgrade. So now this was a thing all the way from like, I don't know, months and months ago, when I did like my Kaisa updated complete guide, like I don't know, half a year ago or something. And I did mention there that I prefer going for Infinity Edge first because it allows you to complete this second BF Sword, and it also gives you a huge injection of AD and crit. But why are we going for RUNAAN'S Hurricane now? Well, the main reason why we're going for RUNAAN'S Hurricane now and rushing the E-Evolve is for two reasons. The first reason, you get your E-Evolve earlier, and that invisibility is really good. But the second reason, which is the main reason, is that RUNAAN'S Hurricane just got buffed. So now with the RUNAAN'S Hurricane, like the Wind's Fury Bolts now actually does more damage to the nearby enemy team. I believe it went from like 40 to 55%, and this is actually a pretty huge buff to Kaisa indirectly because she's one of the very few ADCs that uses RUNAAN'S Hurricane in her standard build. Like somebody like Jinx uses RUNAAN'S as well, but generally it's like your third or like your last item on Jinx, whereas Kaisa, as you guys can see here, you can build it as your second item. So after you get the RUNAAN'S Hurricane second item completed, you generally will go for boots. Now Kaisa, you actually generally do go for defensive boots, Merc Treads or plated steel caps of course. And generally you get stasis because when you fly in with your ultimate, you tend to find yourself in a lot of sticky situations that you do want to get that stasis for. Now after you get your boon enchant, you generally want to go for the, not generally, you do want to go for the IE. And this gives you your triple crit item, and of course that's a huge power spike. And then you like to go for the Maul Reminder as your second last item. Of course you can get Last Whisper, or more often Executioner's Calling earlier if you do need the Grievous Wounds. And finally, I used to like to top it off with a Rift Maker to get that new W Evolve, which we also discussed earlier. But now, after like more testing, I like to go for a last crit item to give myself 100% crit, unless of course I need the Wit's End. So my last crit item generally is going to be between Bloodthirster, Rapid Fire Cannon, and Slurry Charge Blade. And generally my favorite one is going to be the Bloodthirster for that lifesteal, because you're a lot of times up close and personal with the enemy team. And just getting that crit, 100% crit, puts the RNG to bed instead of having that Rift Maker. That of course it does give you true damage, it does give you Omni Vamp as well, but now I kind of like the Bloodthirster more. And like really briefly now, because nothing has actually changed here for the runes and spells, we go for Lethal Tempo, we go for Hunter Vampirism, Nullifying Orb, and Hunter Genius, and then of course we go for the Exhaust and the Flash. So now we got it all out of the way quickly, and now we can talk about the gameplay. Alright, so now let's get into discussing on the gameplay. So, first up, as you guys can see from like the team comps, it's completely messed up. So on my team we have two frontline champions, Pantheon and Leona, and we have three ADCs. So we have me, of course, playing ADC Kaisa, we have an Ezreal top, and we have an AP Varus mid. So it's a completely screwed up team comp. But when you look at the enemy, on the enemy side, they have an Alistar and a Vi, so like both of them are like tank engagers. And then you have a Draven ADC, which is normal. We have a Caitlyn mid for some reason, so they have double ADC as well. And they have a Kassadin top. So both teams have 2 tanks and 3 squishies. So like, I thought my team comp was messed up, but then I looked at the enemy team comp and I'm like, okay, this match is just strange. So anyways, as we all know, we cannot really control what our teammates pick, and we can really only control what we pick and what we do. So really, can't do too much about this situation. So what we're gonna do is we're simply just gonna play as we normally do and just do our best, try our best, etc. So pretty much, we've gone through a lot of Kaisa, like commentary guides, supplementary guides, and like complete guides already, especially in recent times. So I don't think I have too much that I really need to explain here. The first thing is, of course, we're against a Draven Alistar, and they're both level 2, so Alistar can easily do his Headbutt Pulverize combo. Draven has his Q and his W up, so even though Leona has her EQ and I have my QW, we definitely do not win against a Draven Alistar. So what we want to do is pretty much just sit under tower and just spawn minions basically, and we can sort of try to engage and do damage to them near the tower, because we do have that tower advantage, but aside from that we can't really do too much. Now the real issue with this is that Draven has a lot of range, whereas I don't. So if I get too close, Alistar can combo me and Draven can do a lot of damage, whereas Draven can harass me from range. Now this leads to another problem, which is the fact that if we keep doing this, like as you guys can see here, it could lead to this sort of situations. In this case, I think it was kind of worth it because me and Draven both got a kill, but they popped like pretty much all their subs, except Draven's barrier, whereas I still have my flash, which did of course allow me to flash out of that Vi gang. And this actually leads into my next point, which I didn't actually manage to cover before it actually happened in the game itself, which is the fact that because we are always permanently pushed in and they have an Alistar and they have a Vi, it's really easy to dive me, especially if I'm alone. With Leona runs a little bit harder because we do have the CC, but with me alone, as you guys saw there, they nearly got the kill on me, and if I didn't have flash, I would have been dead right then and there. So that is sort of what we're dealing with at the moment. So it's, you know, when you play against a Draven lane and he has an engaged support, you're never gonna have a fun time because, you know, Draven does too much damage and the engaged support, it has a lot of kill pressure. So by the way guys, if you guys saw my last video on AP Varus, this game was played immediately after that video. So the Draven Alistar duo in this match was the same duo from the last match in that Varus video, which was a Draven Thresh duo. So anyways, here Leona goes in, Pantheon comes in as well. So here I'm trying to go for the Draven if at all possible. He's not in range, so I'm just hitting Alistar instead. Draven makes the mistake of stepping up, so I managed to auto Q him and finish off the kill. Alright, so we're surprisingly doing really well against this kill lane. We are 2-0 at the moment, so we are doing really well against them. Unfortunately for them, we got a kill on Draven and a kill on Alistar. Draven loses his stacks, and here we can get a plate as well. But of course Draven has respawned and he's on his way back to lane, so we don't really want to overstay our welcome. And we're just going to back off and we're just going to recall. So at this point, this gives us our Q evolution as well as picking up the boots as well. Generally, I like to pick up my boots after I get the double BF sword, because boots are really important just for general mobility, walking to lane, dodging skill shots, etc. So getting early boots is really important in my opinion. So now we're 30 seconds off from dragon spawning and we're doing really good. Generally, if you can get your Q evolve and boots before dragon, you're in really good shape. So here, of course, the wave has been pushed in by Draven and Alistar. So here, we're just gonna clear the wave, let Leona proc the support item, and yeah. Okay, so here we got a couple of information that we gotta take in. Firstly is that Alistar is missing. We don't know where he is. Okay, now we know where he is. He's in that bush. So he was trying to trap in that bush, and now he's no longer there. The second information is that Dragon and Herald have both spawned, and our jungler is in the base, apparently waiting for an item purchase or something like that. Meanwhile, the enemy jungler Vi, she's in the general vicinity of the dragon, in the dragon area, but has not yet started up the dragon. So appears that a dragon fight is gonna ensue sooner or later. Ezreal is actually rotating from top lane, to the dragon fight, which is good for our chances of the dragon fight. For some reason, Varus is pinging us to not do anything, I don't know, but Kassadin in the meantime is pushing top lane because Ezreal isn't there. So we have to do something quickly. If not, we're going to just lose first tower for no good reason. Kassadin's going to get a lot of plates. Here, I just go super aggressive for no good reason. Honestly, I was kind of just scrolling the map to mid lane, and I end up walking face first into them. I guess they were so shocked by my aggressive maneuver that Alistar didn't even engage on me. But that could be a major mistake from me there if, you know, something worse happened. Anyway, Vi actually dies in the middle lane, and thankfully Kassadin is an AP champion, so he doesn't really push so fast. He is about halfway through getting that tower though, so that's kind of a problem. In the meantime though, enemy bot lane is actually pushing in our tower as well. So we have to quickly come over to defend. Alistar engages on me, but it doesn't really matter because Draven isn't in range. I can deal with a little bit of Alistar damage, no big deal. And we're going to quickly clear out the wave. Now Ezreal in the meantime is still here, purportedly for the dragon fight, which has not yet happened. Now turret plating's 30 seconds away from falling. The faster the better for us, considering that Kassadin is getting a lot of free plates. Again, we're hovering the dragon area, but again nothing is happening. It's been like 2 minutes since the dragon has spawned and still nothing has happened. At this point in time, Vi just straight up goes for the Rift Herald while we're all distracted with the dragon and secures that Rift Herald, and we have done nothing so far. So here Alistar is a little bit isolated. I try to go in on Alistar. I use the ult for the shield, and I do have my exhaust, so I was intending to exhaust Draven when he comes over so he can't kill me. Unfortunately for me, my reaction is a little bit too slow. I wait like 1 second before exhausting Draven, which is all he needed to finish off the kill on me. Here, my team does manage to finish off the kill on Vi though, and Caitlyn has to run for the hills with her whole team dead. The Rift Herald does take down the mid lane tower and does get the second charge off onto the tier 2 tower as well, which is kind of really bad. The only good thing to come out of this is that we got more kills than them, and we are also going to be able to get the mountain dragon. Varus trapping for Caitlyn, but honestly Varus doesn't really do nearly enough damage at this point in time to do anything meaningful to the Caitlyn, so nothing too much happens there. Draven shows up to the party, so I'm going to have to walk away because everybody has recalled from my team, so I'm going to walk the long way around back into the bot lane. Okay, so here we're at an okay spot, 2, 1, and 2 with the Storm Razor completed and another BF Sword completed. As we all know, we're going for the RUNAAN'S Hurricane next. And something that I didn't really cover yet is when to go for this crit RUNAAN'S Hurricane build and when you should go for the hybrid build. Now basically, whenever you're in a team that you can auto-attack multiple people at one go, like if they're like a grouped up kind of team, you want to go for this build. Now hold that thought, because here we're going to go in onto the Draven, get the quick assassination, and we're going to go in on Alistar next. He does have his Unbreakable on, but it does run out, so now we're just going to suddenly do a lot of damage to him. We pick up the double kill onto him. Caitlyn does do quite a decent amount of damage to me. I don't end up blocking the ult for the Leona since she's not going to die anyways. Pantheon is coming around the back. I'm going to try to snipe the Caitlyn for the assist, and Pantheon does finish off the kill. So, back to talking about when to use which build. Pretty much whenever you're against a team where you are able to attack multiple targets at a single time, you want to use this build. So in this particular match, I'm kind of anticipating that Alistar and Vi are going to be in the front line. Kassadin likely is going to be in the midst of us as well, so I can likely attack the 3 of them at the same time. Attacking Draven and Caitlyn is going to be a bit more challenging because they do have pretty high range, so that's not quite going to happen. But in this particular match, I can target those 3 people at one go, so going for RUNAAN'S Hurricane seemed like a good idea to me. Now in those kind of games where they only have like one frontline champion and like a lot of backline people or something like that, then it's definitely going to be better to go for the hybrid build, because you can't make good use of RUNAAN'S Hurricane anyways, and the hybrid build is really strong as well with the mixed damage and all that jazz. So that's when I would go for hybrid build, and that's when I would go for this crit build. So here Leona goes in onto the Draven. I actually ult over, but I actually get interrupted by Alistar in the middle of my ult, and thankfully he did. It ended up helping me because Caitlyn does come down and I don't want to actually dash into their entire team. So here I managed to Q auto to kill the Caitlyn. I exhaust the Draven and we're on the chase for the Draven. Unfortunately, we can't quite reach him, so instead we're gonna have to settle for clearing the minion wave and then going for the tower, as you guys can see here. So in the meantime, Vi is somehow in between our 2 turrets and does end up killing Varus, but does end up dying for it as well. So really funky business going on. down there. And here, we're just going to recall. I'm going to pick up the RUNAAN'S King, which gives us the E-Evolve, as you guys can see here. We're actually doing really, really well this game. We're 5-1-3 at the moment. So we are doing really, really well. Here, Pantheon is calling for us to go for the Rift Herald. I was initially going to try to defend the tower. Then I realized that Draven is taking it way too fast. And if I go there, I'm just going to die when the moment the tower falls. So instead, I'm going to just wait for Leona. And we're going to together try to, you know, do something about the situation, more or less. So here, Alistar tries to go in on me. Draven ults me. Leona ult hits onto the Draven. I dash behind the Draven so I can focus the Draven first. So Alistar cannot peel for him. And now we're actually focusing Alistar 1v1. But he's so tanky because of his ultimate, we can't actually kill him. The moment his ult runs out, we do end up eventually killing him at long last. So, yeah. So Kaisa really good at doing this sort of thing where you can dive into the backline without the frontline being able to stop you. Because what can Alistar actually do to stop me? I mean, he can hit me off my ultimate, which he did do before. But firstly, his hitbutt was on cooldown. And secondly, that's really difficult to pull off. So anyways, here I'm just going to pick up the red buff. And we're going to just quickly recall and get ourselves some item components. So here we pick up the stasis as well as the glove. So stasis, of course, pretty important because there is a Vi that can ult us and we can stasis that ult. And also just useful in general, as we all know. Alright, so here we're trying to see if we can turn on to Draven and Kassadin, since I'm already here. Alistar kind of gets semi-caught out. So here I'm going to try to burst down the Alistar. We do get down the burst on Alistar. Ult over to get in range for the Kassadin. And I exhaust the Caitlyn and go for the chase. Caitlyn barely survives. And I try to snipe her out, but I do miss, unfortunately. I hit the minion instead, unlucky. And here I'm trying to see if I can actually find a catch onto her. Unfortunately, I cannot. And yeah, so we're going to have to simply just back off. Okay, so here we're just going to quickly clear up the minion wave and see if we can get some tower damage. Or maybe not, because Dragon is up. So we do want to kind of set up for the Dragon. My whole team is resetting. I don't really have to reset. Because I don't really have, I can't really afford the IE yet. So here I'm just going to start attacking the Dragon. Varus comes on over. Vi and Caitlyn are on the way as well. And the rest of my team is also on the way. Alright, so Pantheon is now in the pit. We're all focusing the Dragon. Vi, yeah, you can see she's going to come over the wall for the steal. She smites way too early, so Pantheon does end up securing it. I get the kill onto the Vi and go godlike. I'm going to dash, not dash, but I'm going to speed up and run forward and try to, you know, do fallout damage onto whoever I can. I do manage to get the kill, another kill, and another one maybe? I believe I get maybe a triple, not too sure. But eventually the Draven does catch up to me and I do end up dying to the Draven. Draven gets the kill onto Ezreal as well. And my team does end up getting aced. And Draven, Caitlyn are left alive. So the main issue in this fight is the fact that I couldn't really get onto the backline of that team. So I end up having to focus like the Vi, then I focused the Alistar, and then I focused the Kassadin. So I can't really get to the Draven and the Caitlyn because I'm always having to focus frontline. And I didn't get stacks onto them to actually ult into the backline. So I couldn't actually get rid of the main like damage dealers on their team. And because of that, we pretty much just lost the fight because Caitlyn and Draven are pretty fed and do quite a bit of damage. So if we take a look at the gold we have, Draven's at 12k, Caitlyn's at 11k gold. I'm at 12k gold myself, but my entire rest of the team all at like roughly 8k gold. Varus is at 10k. So Caitlyn and Draven are fed. Make no mistake about that. So they do a lot of damage. So yeah, they are a big threat. So here we spot the Vi. I'm just backing off because I was alone at that point. Now that my team is here ready to go onto the Vi, I'm ready to go onto the Vi as well. I ult in and we do end up killing the Vi relatively easily. So pretty major pick on the enemy jungler when Baron is up. So instead of going for Baron though, what we're going to do is simply just make use of this priority to just push down mid lane tier 1, which we haven't actually gotten yet. Opens up the map a lot. Leona goes on to Alistar for some reason. Not the best thing to do at this current point in time. And we're just going to just back off and, you know, be content with getting that tier 1. Just random side note, for some reason Ezreal gets a tier like 15 minutes into the game. But anyways, we're just gonna clear out the mid lane, because as we know, Draven did take the inhibitor tower when he did get that ace, so we don't have a mid lane inhib, which is sort of a major issue. Now the Rift Herald automatically spawns. I believe that's the Vice Rift Herald spawning from base, so it's gonna take quite some time to come down the lane. Shouldn't be an immediate problem for us. So here, Pantheon and Leona are kind of trapping in that bush, waiting for someone to come by. I see the plan and I'm ready for it. I have my ult at the ready to ult in. Just slightly behind them, I see them catching onto Draven. I ult to the Draven. Unfortunately, if Draven flashes the wall, so I have to flash over. I get the exhaust on Draven. I'm able to finally focus Draven and kill him. And without the Draven, the Alistar and the Vi can't really do enough damage to actually kill anybody, so they all die as well. Kassadin is busy split pushing on our top lane, but we don't really have to care about him. Rift Herald is going down our bot lane, but doesn't really matter because it's really slow, so it's kind of getting caught on a minion wave. Another minion wave is coming that's gonna run into as well, so the Rift Herald not really a concern. Here we're just gonna try to focus the base to get a kill if possible. Here I'm trying to kill the Kassadin. Pantheon does manage to finish off the kill on Kassadin, and we do manage to finish the match straight off of that. So anyways guys, as usual, I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.